Yes, it's time again for Millionaire Secrets, where we give you direct access to the power brokers who can change your life and help you make those millions. Sam Silverstein was starting successful businesses way back in college. Since then, he's generated more than $100 million in sales. He's helped 60,000 people who subscribe to his newsletter make millions, but you're getting all the knowledge and experience people pay big money for right here, free of charge. Sam, you got some great secrets. Let's tee right up. Secret number 2.
Think and plan strategically. I once had the opportunity to sit with a very successful individual, and I asked him, what's your secret to success? He said, Sam, do the right things consistently. Do the right things consistently. So many times we get to the start of the day, we have a legal pad with a list of things to do on there, and we think success is just checking things off. We haven't even taken the time to realize what needs to be on that legal pad. And if you're going to do the right things consistently, you have to take the time to stop and ask, what are my right things? Look at them as daily right things, weekly right things, monthly or annually, but you have to know what your right things are.
I love it, man. Next secret.
Leaders admit fault. Even our founding father, George Washington, when he was asked, did you chop down the cherry tree? He said, I cannot tell a lie. I did it. And this was unusual for him because, after all, he was a politician. Imagine that today. Today, we have people whose job it is to make excuses. They call them spin doctors. Can you imagine George Washington on Fox News today? Mr. President, did you cut down the cherry tree? Well, yes and no. You see, I didn't cut it down. Cutting is something one does with a knife. You can cut your finger, but you can't really cut a tree. And since I used my hatchet, I would have to say that the relationship I had with the tree was not a cutting relationship. It was more of a chopping relationship. And I did not cut it down. And see, the stump is still standing. And since that is part of the tree, is an alleged claim made by those people who have some personal vendetta against me. And after all, I was looking for weapons of mass destruction. And let me make this point perfectly clear. I did not inhale. Don't you hate it when politicians give us those lame excuses?
My youngest daughter, Allison, is 17 years old. She has a summer job in a laboratory. And she is assisting in some very critical research. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to identify a specific part of the human genome and attach that to heart defects. Because once they're able to make that connection, they will be able to save millions of lives for our children, our grandchildren, and generations to come. And I asked Allison to share with me the procedure of how they went about doing this. And I only get one question a day. So Allison explained to me that they harvest the heart of the mouse, and then they encase it in a block of wax. And they slice that heart into 250 slices. Now, for those of you that don't know this, a mouse's heart is about the size of the exposed piece of lead on a dull pencil. 250 slices. And then they examine each one under a microscope, looking for the defects. And they do this over and over and over again. And as she explained the entire process to me, using a vocabulary of which I only understood about half the words, I realized two things. First, in my side of the family, intelligence is generation skipping. But second, I realized that there was an incredible amount of precision that went into both the equipment and the process and procedures that were used in that laboratory. And I had to stop and look at myself and look at my business and ask, do I employ that level of precision? Do we create a business model with that degree of precision? If we are going to be successful in a down economy and position ourselves to move greatly forward as it comes back, We need to plan a campaign in our businesses with the same amount of precision that's used in the laboratory. Some people see a soft economy and they worry about their business. I see a soft economy and I say, this is an opportunity, absolutely. Because what's going to happen is competition's going to find it tough. And when you're a leader and you're making changes and you're looking for ways to grow, it's a great opportunity to pick up business. Soft economy might not be good in the stock market, but it can be good for business. I was dealing with a company exec this past week, and he says, you know, it's easy for me to be accountable to my people. It's easy for me to be accountable to my family. I have a hard time sometimes holding myself accountable to myself. Last year, I had a speech that was booked for a repeat client. I was doing the opening keynote. It's in Washington, D.C. on May 18th. 8 a.m. I'm kicking off the program. Not only am I kicking off the program, they love my theme so much, No More Excuses, that they actually licensed it from me, and the whole conference was called No More Excuses. How cool is that? I'm opening the thing, I'm excited. Well, about 2 weeks after we signed the agreement, I had noticed that on my business calendar that there were a few of my personal dates that had not been entered. I mean, little things like Allison's confirmation, a spring break with the family, and Jackie's graduation from high school. And I look at Jackie's graduation from high school, and it is on May 17th at 7:30 at night in St. Louis. I'm seeing people cringe. Yeah, the only way out of St. Louis after 7:30 at night is on a donkey. I got to be in Washington, D.C. at 8 a.m. So, you know, I'm kind of wondering, what do I do? And I'm thinking, well, Jackie's my third child. I've been to a lot of these graduation things before, you know. Certainly she wouldn't remember if I just happened to miss hers, right? So I call the client. Sal, I got a little challenge here. I didn't have my calendars put together right. My personal date wasn't on my business calendar. We signed this agreement, but it turns out my daughter's graduation, and it's the night before. He goes, Sam, hold on a second. What's going on here? Don't you remember the theme of the conference? No more excuses. So, you're with us. I like that. Hang in there. So, I get off the phone. And so I say, well, let's call a charter company. Let's look at some options. So we call a charter air company. Did you know that the cheapest flight from St. Louis to Washington, D.C. at that hour of the night is $10,000? I could have paid for the whole graduation. Just move it up a day. So now my question is, who am I accountable to? Am I accountable to my daughter? Or am I accountable to this business associate that I have a relationship with in Washington, D.C.? Where does my accountability lie to myself? I basically have a $10,000 question I'm running here. Well, it's 7:30 at night. Graduation starts at 9:30. I'm watching my daughter walk across the stage and receive her diploma. At 10:05, it's wheels up out of Spirit of St. Louis Airport as this jet takes off. 10 minutes into the flight, I'm thinking to myself, was it a good decision taking the low-cost bidder? But the flight went fine. At 2 o'clock, I'm slipping between the Lily Whites in Washington, D.C., and I'm there for my speech the next morning. Sometimes it's difficult to hold ourselves accountable. Anyone can make the easy choice. But when we take the hard road and do the right thing, amazing things happen. When you return from this convention, you will have no more excuses if your business is not where you want it to be or your life is not where you deserve it to be.